was .NET Framework. Let's do that for .NET Core. New folder. What's different in .NET Core? Yeah, there's a lot of things that are different. So I'm going to choose to use the .NET CLI to scaffold this. .NET new -- help. And .NET new then will give us details about how we would like to scaffold our project. We could say file new project in Visual Studio. We did that. Let's do it this way instead. Now I've chosen to install a couple more things. So I have a React, Redux, Web API, Angular. I have a few more projects. But out of the box, you'll get XUnit. You'll get MVC, Web. MVC sounds good. Let's scaffold one of those. Angular? Yeah. So, yeah, it's just JavaScript. So I'm going to say create a .NET new MVC site. I'll give it the name of site, the output into the site folder, and I'll call it a .NET Core 2.2 app. Now what's really cool with this, it will automatically NuGet restore, which is really cool. I'm going to go scaffold out an XUnit project as well. I'll call that site.tests, and I'll put it in the site.tests folder. And then I'm going to scaffold out a solution, and I'm going to add those two projects into that solution. I could have done this in Visual Studio as well, but that was kind of fun to do it on the command line. Here's that site, site.tests, and the solution that includes them both. Git init, and I'm going to create a git ignore file. Let's open this up in Visual Studio Code.
Hey, Ralph, for the .NET CLI, can you also put the few references? Can you reference your site in your test project?
Can I reference the site from the other project? Yes, I can. It's .NET add reference. And yeah, in this case, I didn't, but I should add the reference from one to the other. Really? Oh, that's because that one's there. OK. So here's our project in Visual Studio. I have this git ignore file. And let's ignore things like bin and obj and star.user and star.suo and debug and release and a dist folder, star.log, other things that we want to ignore. I'm actually kind of getting ahead of myself. Those are the things we don't want to commit. So git status, we have all of these new things. Git add dot, git commit -m, new .NET Core site. Cool. Well, let's go change that header again. Views, shared layout, and instead of calling this application, let's call this Southeast Valley .NET User Group. That'll change the header. Very nice. Now we could go create all those steps inside of TeamCity, but in this case, let's create a build.bat file that will actually kick off the build. We'll commit that, and then we'll use that inside TeamCity to do interesting things. New file, this will be build.bat. And now I'll do the standard things that I would like to. .NET build-c for configuration. Release, .NET test, site.tests, .NET publish. And for .NET publish, I'll need to cd into the site folder. I'll .NET publish -c release -o. What does C stand for? Configuration. So release or debug. And then I'll dump this into the dist folder, one thing up, cd ... So I've done the build, the test, and then release. Now to get a build failure to actually trigger a build error, I'm going to say or exit-b1. So if tests fail, then bad things will happen. A few interesting details because batch files are awesome. Let me cd into the current directory. Pushd and popd are really interesting. So I could have, instead of cd, I could have pushed and popped. Now I'm going to do something interesting here with the tests. I would like .NET Test to output the test results.
These are unit tests?
Yes, these are unit tests. So here I'm specifying the logger. Now in this case, the logger is TRX, which means MS build format. It's still running XUnit tests, but it's going to run the XUnit tests in MS test output format. And I'll write that to site.test.trx so that we can pull that into TeamCity and get the test results to do interesting things.
Hey, Rob, before you put the logger in, you had the site.test in there. Do you still need that in there?
If I put site.test, it will only run the tests in that directory. If I don't, it will actually run all of the tests that it can find in the solution. It'll have output that says, hey, I can't find the tests in the website, and so I skipped that one. OK. Good question. Sometimes I like to add it, and apparently in this case, I didn't.
So default is the found all?
This is what?
Default is the found every test in this.
Right. The default, because I'm in the solution directory, it'll open up the solution. It will look through all of the solution's projects for tests, and it will run all those tests.
So what happens if it fails? Just stops there?
If it fails, yeah. If it fails, it will return a non-zero status code to this command. And so this or, it'll say, oh, OK, it returned a 1 or whatever, and I'm going to exit this script with a non-zero status code, which will then tell TeamCity to fail.
Oh, so TeamCity gets from here?
TeamCity will run this build file.
So they, gets the end of the, oh, OK.
Right.
Cool.
So here inside TeamCity, in the .NET Framework one, we chose these build steps. We did a NuGet restore. Ooh, we forgot the NuGet restore. Now the cool thing is .NET Core will do a NuGet restore as it does a .NET build, but we could say NuGet restore or exit B1 as well. And so, pre-restore before we kick off the build. That's OK. So we did the NuGet restore. We did the Visual Studio build. Now, Visual Studio build will do this octo pack. You are correct. It is .NET restore. It is not NuGet restore. Thank you. .NET restore. That would have been embarrassing. Now, this Visual Studio build, because we checked the build octopack, it also built that octopus release, the octopack NuGet package. But in ASP.NET Core web applications, why not octopack? Octopack is not compatible with ASP.NET Core applications. Please see the octopack documentation for more details. What they suggest is to .NET publish the application as we did, and then octopack using those details. So let's run octopack ourselves from the command line. Octopack --site, our ID is site --version. Here's that build number that we got from TeamCity. --base path go look in that dist folder for all of the content that you would like to package, overwrite, and exit if it fails. So now we have that NuGet package. Let's do a similar thing to go push that package up to the Octopus server. Octo push, the package is site.thatBuildNumber.new package. This octopack dumped that NuGet package right here. -- replace existing, -- server is blah, -- API key is octo key, and let's fail the build if that failed. That publishes that up to Octopus deploy, and then let's do that last step here. That last step here where we deploy it to Octopus.
It seems like .NET is short. You just write a script and
So that's interesting. Is .NET Core shorter? We're doing two different approaches. On the one hand, we could go create all the steps inside TeamCity, but now that configuration lives in TeamCity. By creating it as a script instead, we can version the script together with our repository. If a team needs to change this script as part of their build, maybe they added a test project, they can change this script, and the build will automatically pick it up. And so we could do this script-based approach with .NET Framework. We could also do creating all the tasks in TeamCity with .NET Core. I just wanted to show both mechanisms here.
Another benefit to scripting is when you change your CI provider. Like we're going through that right now where we use TeamCity and had all the steps, and now we're going to something not TeamCity. And now we've got to go and either recreate all the steps in the new system, or create a build script. And we just did a build script to start with. It would just be point to the new system when we're done.
Yep. If I have a script like this, I am very agnostic to my provider. If I move from TeamCity to Azure DevOps, or if I move from Azure DevOps to TeamCity, or if I grab Jenkins or Cruise Control, wherever this script just works, and I just say, hey, go. In this case, this is a batch file. I may choose to do this in PowerShell or Bash. Or in some providers, I can actually do this in YAML, which is really cool.
Question for you, Robin. Your build, test, and publish, does each one of those rebuild the solution?
Build, test, and publish. Does each one rebuild the solution?
no.
It builds it if it needs to. In this case, because I've said -c release in all of the places, then it will notice that it's already there and not kick it off again. And actually,
The test and the release is different build, right? Because the test, is it a test at debug or just both of them release?
this one, I don't have a -c release. That's interesting. I'm kind of curious what will happen if I leave it off. Will that do a dev build? I don't think so. Yeah, let's try it. So we've done all of the steps here. That's really cool. We still need to come into TeamCity and create a build. So let's do that here. Administration, create project, manually. Oh.
TeamCity is just like an agent, it just builds it.
Yep, TeamCity now will just be a dumb agent. It'll go, hey, is there anything to do? Let me go do it. Is there anything to do? Let me go do it. All of the smarts of what we're doing is inside that batch file. Git status. OK, git remote add origin. I need the URL to that server. Let's go back into our GitHub, and let's go create a new project. New folder, let's call this Southeast Valley.NET User Group, Net Core.
How about the security if it's different system? You create similar user all of them?
The security for the different systems?
Yeah.
The different systems meaning?
If it's publishing the different servers.
If I'm publishing to different servers. If I deploy to servers, how do I authenticate to? Yeah. In this case, because I was on the server, I had rights to do so. But inside Octopus Deploy, you can configure the user that it uses to remote into that machine. And if you have really tight security things, you might want to look at a polling tentacle instead of a listening tentacle. So the polling tentacle can actually reach in, and the polling tentacle has the permissions to do that. Some people get a little bit grumpy because the tentacle needs to run as admin. It's a little agent on the machine that needs to run as admin so that it knows what to do. But yeah, it's configuring IIS. It needs the ability to do so. OK, git remote add origin. Here's my URL to my GitHub. Git push origin master. And now I have my content up in GitHub. Well, our fake GitHub for this purpose. Let's go create that project. The project is southeastvalley.net user group core. Create. We would like to create a build configuration manually. .NET core. Create.
So you said GitHub, right? The free version?
In this case, I'm using Git, just the command line. But I'm pretending it's GitHub or GitLab or Azure DevOps.
Okay, so you don't care which one.
Right. There's my VCS root name. Here's my fetch URL. I like to come in here and choose author name and email. Create. And I have my build. Build steps. I'm going to add a single build step, and this will be the command line. I'm going to go reach into my repository, and I'm going to grab build.bat, which I haven't pushed yet, so I'll call it build.bat. This will be Visual Studio build, or this will be the build. Now remember that this command line needs this build number, and it's going to use that build number using 1.0.blah. So here in the general settings, I have to come in here and say my build number format is 1.0.blah. Save. And I also created this octo key not as an environment variable, but I very specifically created it as a configuration parameter. So instead of using the octo key environment variable, I'm actually going to need to come in here and pass that into the script. So here in build steps, not .NET Framework, .NET Core. Here in the build steps, I'm going to choose to pass in octo key. It is an environment variable. I can't just use it. But if that's the one parameter passed to build.bat, that's fine. Save. Well, now here in my script, I need to be able, not that one. Here in my script, I need to be able to grab that. So I'm going to look here in my script, and I'm going to go grab environment variable 1, and I'm going to set it to this local octo key environment variable. Now I have echo turned off, so that won't go to the console. But because I created it as a hidden variable, even if it did go to the console, that means it's gone. Now that does mean when I'm testing this, I need to set a build number environment variable before I call the script. And I need to pass it some first argument, which of course won't be a valid octopus deploy thing, so that will fail. But I can kind of simulate that, and then I can get the feel of how this restore, build, test, publish steps work before the octo push completely fails. So I've got that build step in place. I would like to set up a trigger to do the VCS trigger. I won't use a quiet period. Save. Build features. I would like to add a build feature. I would like it to pull in XML reports. And in this case, I'm grabbing the MS test, and I'm going to go star.test.trx, which I just think is the most annoying suffix ever. Save. And now our build is ready to go. Git status. Let's commit these things. Git add dot, git commit -m build script. Oh, and it's going to fail. Because there's no project here. That's OK. Let's let it fail. The quiet period.
Are you going to show Azure deployment too?
Could I do this in Azure DevOps? I definitely could. I'm not going to show that today. But the only difference would be this interface. Azure DevOps has the buttons in different places. OK, so while we have a minute, let's go create a .NET. Let's go create this project, the .NET Core project. .NET Core, save. Define your deployment process. I would like to add a step. I would like it to deploy to IIS. This is publish to IIS. The package ID is Southeast Valley.NET User Group Net Core. Nope, the package ID is site. I don't have any XML files to transform, but I could come down here and transform my star.config files, which is pretty cool. In this case, I don't have any, so that's OK. It's an IIS website. I would like that IIS website to be I'm going to type it the first time. Southeast Valley.NET User Group, Net Core, and I want this to be -dev and -test. So I'll go reach into there and go grab the environment variable name. I would like that to be the app pool as well. I will do that same trick with the 8000s, but in this case, I'll do the 810s. So dev will be 8010, and test will be 8011. Anonymous authentication. And the one thing that's specifically weird about .NET Core is I need to set this to no managed code. Now, hosting .NET Core inside IIS also requires this. Requires that inside IIS, I turn on the
Can you capture this link?
Can I talk through this link?
No, capture.
Can I capture this link? There you go.
Then you can put the other capture at the end of it. You can have it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Publish this link to the meetup site. So I need to start off by installing IIS. I probably already did that. But the other thing that I need to do is I need to very specifically install the Net Core hosting bundle. And that Net Core hosting bundle is the thing that lights up Net Core inside of IIS. Alternatively, I can just run it as a Kestrel server, and that's a really elegant way to do it as well. So I'll download the current Net Core hosting bundle, and I'll install it, and I've already done that on this server.
You can also do container, right?
Yeah. If I put it in a container, I don't need to do that at all, which is pretty cool. OK, so
Which one is the perfect way?
which one is the preferred way?
Or the best practice?
What size is the perfect coffee mug?
Depends on how much you want to drink, right?
Yeah. Preferred, IIS has some advantages. It's been run at scale. It does automatic app pool recycling, so it'll make sure that your .NET Core process is still running. Kestrel is a lot lighter weight, so it'll probably run a lot faster. If I put in a container, Docker's taking care of restarting it, or Kubernetes. And so I can leverage those for that experience. Kubernetes can also work as a load balancer, where IIS could do that as well. So which is better? Walk into your IT shop and say Kubernetes and IIS.NET Core, and somebody will talk to you for hours explaining their perfect solution, and I agree. In your organization, that's the right one for you. So I've switched this to no managed code and enabled anonymous authentication, and that step, please select one or more roles. I would like this to apply to web servers. There we go. Save. Dashboard. Okay, let's kick this off automatically. Or let's kick this off manually since it didn't start. The build command line failed. Build.bat is not recognized as an internal or external command. That is interesting. Did I not push? I did not. Git push origin master. Yes, pushing is a thing apparently. Now we'll see the changes. There's my build that got automatically kicked off from Git. The build log. Now in this case, we only have one step, and the step is, run build.bat. But then build.bat will do all kinds of interesting things. So you notice how it's automatically scrolling up to keep the new content down at the bottom. NuGet restore. Now it's restoring the test, which includes a few more packages. Any questions so far?
It seems like you're trying to eliminate test engineers' jobs, so they're not going to find a job anymore.
No, you need them for acceptance testing. But the mechanistic version we're going through to see whether or not the algorithm works, much better done by a computer than by a human.
Ooh, I did not pass API key. Octo key, API key. I fear that I didn't pass octo key into this one. The other interesting thing with builds is, yeah, you're probably going to build this 20 times the wrong way before you get it to go. Nope, there's octo key. Okay, so if this hadn't failed, that's the process for building .NET Core, and we just chose to do that in a build script as well.